Welcome to the channel. My name's Tel, and today we're going to be talking about the Datassette unit model C2N. This was made by Commodore. They covered the PET computer, the VIC-20 and the Commodore C64/C64C. Yeah, so that's what we're going to be talking about. I found this in my cupboard the other day and I thought, I haven't opened this at all, and I had it for 2 years. So this is what the video is all about. So it comes in this really nicely constructed box with a little pamphlet with operating instructions in it and 2 polys either side. Yeah, so it's been constructed well, and yeah, it's in very good condition actually. So I decided to try it to get it out on the bench because I had some spare time. So there it is in all its glory. So I don't know the age of this. I'm guessing it's around about 1980 to 1986 or something like that. I don't really know. So I plugged it in. Didn't do anything really to start off with. So anyway, it plugs into the back of the unit on one of the sort of flat edge connectors. I'll show you that in a minute. The basic commands are load and save, so much as it was the same with any other computer, microcomputer back in that time. That's how you loaded and saved something. So in the instructions it says don't use anything bigger than a C30. So C30 is a 30-minute cassette. All I had was C90s, but I thought I'd try it and it didn't work. So the next thing I did was to take this introductory cassette for Acorn Electron, which is probably sacrilegious to do, to write over it, but I don't care. So I taped over the right enable holes, and this is a smaller tape. I'm not sure how long it is, but it was smaller. But unfortunately, that didn't work either. So what I did was to think to myself, right, let's have a look at the edge connector. So I tried cleaning that up. That looks alright. I looked at the heads from inside here as far as I could and had a go at cleaning the heads, and I think I did an okay job, but it still wasn't working. So what next? I have actually already repaired this, so full disclosure there, but I thought you might want to have a look inside this with me and see the little journey that I took. Right, so in order to get this to pieces, basically there's 4 screws which I've already taken out, and it kind of it's I should have taken the top off actually, not the bottom. Right, so this is quite modular in terms of the fact that, you know, it comes out easily in one piece. This still hasn't been cleaned up, so we'll have a bit of a clean up while I'm doing this. And let's just clean the inside because it looks like there are bits of dust and maybe even bits of solder sitting around in the bottom of the case. So we'll give that a quick clean. It's not essential that it's perfect, really. Just we don't want any foreign bodies inside the case, which might cause us some issues. So this is kind of an oversight. I'm doing this video the wrong way around really, but anyway, it is what it is. I didn't want to lose the opportunity to show you around. So if we have a look at this deck, hold it up a bit closer, you get something to point with. So it's a standard tape deck configuration. You've got the read-write head there, and then you've got the erase head here, and the pinch roller there. So nothing different to what you'd expect on anything else. There's a little LED there which tells you that it's saving data. And here we've got the counter, that's the word I'm looking for. So when I look at the belts, they're kind of a little bit loose, maybe, I don't know, but it works. So alright, okay, hopefully you can see that now. So you should be able to see that that's really very clean. I think I got all the dirt and grime off it. All of these buttons work in terms of, you know, making the tape go back with a fast with a fast reverse or a fast forward, and the stop and the record buttons and play buttons all seem to work, and the eject. The mechanism itself was absolutely disgusting. There you go, and it's all its glory. 40-year-old ear hair, nose hair, beard hair, I don't know what it was. There's loads of this, and it was littered all over the face of the mechanism. Some of it was on the heads, so there was hairs across the heads, and yeah, it was generally a pretty disgusting view. So this is the cable which plugs into the Commodore 64. For some reason it's got this weird earth connection rather, that hasn't got anywhere for it to go, at least not on this machine. Maybe it's for the pet or something, I don't know, it's required. But they're pretty straightforward connectors inside there, and they took that apart and that was fine. So I did a continuity test of the heads, and they were fine. In terms of the coil was intact and all the connections looked to be okay, so I thought, right, well, they must be okay then. So what was going to be next is the question. So I decided to have a look on the other side of the board, and here we have the assembly where you've got the belt underneath there for the pulley, on there for the counter, and here you've got the motor there which drives the drive mechanism. This belt, I took this off and there was really no kinks in it, so maybe it had been replaced at some time in the past. So the next thing really to do is to have a look at the board. So I'm going to partially take the board off so that you can see it. Now this board is actually very well put together in terms of its construction, with the exception of one thing, which I'll show you in a minute. So we're okay so far, we take that off, and then we find we can't actually take it off because of these wires. These wires go through this hole and they go to a little switch underneath. So in order to get this off, and I'm not going to take this off now, these two wires go to a micro switch. So I did take those off. It is a real pain, and on the board itself, and I'll show you the circuit diagram in a moment from the service manual, but there isn't very much on it at all actually. But when I did take it off and started tracing the lines from the record head, what I discovered was that the red wire was actually not in contact with the board, so it must have been, you know, just barely touching, and on some occasion you would actually see the file, but it wouldn't actually read it. Sometimes you wouldn't see anything, so that was actually the cause of it. Anyway, let's go and have a look at the circuit diagram. Okay, so here is the circuit diagram for my model, at least, in the service manual, which is where this is from. There are at least 2 or 3 different sort of circuit diagrams, but I think this is the one that we want to look at. So on the left hand side you've got a table of components, so we'll come back to that in a minute. That lists all the resistors, capacitors and ICs. So the circuit's basically split into two halves. So at the top you've got the read write head, and if you see the coil there, so this is what will do the reading and the writing to the tape. This one down here is the erase head. That's the one that gets rid of anything that's on there before you record on it. Yeah, so when you're in record mode, this will be active and that will be active. If you're in just playback, it will just be this one. So anyway, the coil inside the recording head read-write head comes out here. It comes through these two switches, which are joined in their operation as they are down here as well. So it's 3-pole two-way. So if the arrow is pointing down, it's to right, and you can see that way down would be this is connected in, so the erase head is connected, and these two are here connected to these points here, which are the outputs from these logic gates here, which is coming from the output of the machine. So the output of the machine signal comes in there, gets processed by these 74 LS14 gates, which are Schmidt trigger inverters, hex six of them. So there's 4 of them in the chipper there. So these two are connected one after the other, which is curious. I can only assume there's some sort of timing issue there. So the main signal comes in, it gets buffered. This is presumably a buffer, and then it gets inverted there, and that has the effect of changing the polarity on the coil. So you'll get effectively an AC current going through it. So that deals with that. So the top half, if it's in the read position, so all the data flowing from the cord is going through this series of op amps, and I'm not entirely sure what it's all doing, but I'm guessing that these are filter stages here. This is some sort of wave shaping, I guess, or post amp. Well, this is a preamp. And then it goes through to logic gates coming in. So, but anyway, that will be going. That output will be going back to the computer. So you've got a digital out and a digital in, and that's how it's switching over these heads. Obviously, you've got the motor there, which makes the tape go around, and then you've got other switches which are to do with the the mechanism on the tape deck itself. Here we've got actually a diagnostics port, which is probably something they would use in the factory, I guess. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, you could look at that signal coming in, I guess, on there to make sure it was there. And this one goes to where was that? So if that's read data, where is that going to be? Oh, there it's over there. Right, so that's a digital out. So that's digital in, digital out. And yeah, okay, so these two, A and B, are actually allowing you to monitor the output from the head. So it is useful. You could use those if you're fault finding. And I guess the same very much anyway. I guess if we got the erase head on, that's going through there. You've got 5 volts going into there. Yeah, so you could monitor the data there, or if you didn't have this connected, I'm guessing that you could write data yourself and see what you got out of it. Anyway, that's a sort of quick look-see at the circuit board. Reading this in terms of the op amps, they're LM258s. And the other ones have got the word sub on the end of them, so I'm assuming that these are potential substitutes that you could use. None of these match up with the numbers that I see on the ones that I've got, so I don't know where they come from, but anyway, I'm sure it would work fine. So I think that's all I need to say about this. The service manual is very good, but unfortunately, as far as I can tell, it doesn't have any procedure for you to adjust the azimuth, but there are other documents out on the internet that you can use to do that. So if you need to take the head off or replace it, you're going to need to do that adjustment. So compared with what you get today, which is almost nothing in terms of product service manuals, they generally did a very good job back in the day of giving you everything that you really needed to know. Anyway, let's get back to the remainder of the video now. So this just sits on top of that wire. It's a bit tricky to relocate it, but let's see if we can get that done. So let's try and get this one done first. Okay, with the grommet in place. So the grommet goes in here, and the board just sits quite nicely, actually. Let me come out a bit. I'm going to zoom out a bit so that you can see it a bit better from afar, and we're not looking at the close detail. Okay, right, so we don't have to put any other screws in there. That's all right as it is. All we have to do is get the top on. So it should just be a case of plonking that on the top, and we're away. So I'm not going to screw this in because I don't want to tempt fate. But the next thing I'm going to do now is to plug it back into the unit and see if I can set this up so that you can see it saving and loading something to the tape. So that's what we're going to do now. So I'll move this out of the way. We'll plug this back into my C64. Okay. Okay, so I've got it plugged into the unit now, and I'm going to add in this into the data cassette, or data set rather. Do a little bit of a rewind, hopefully you heard that, if not, apologies for that. And we're going to write a program, so we just write a simple program, so 10 for x equals 1, 2, 5, 20, print hello data set. Why is my oh, there is. Apologies for my appalling typing. I'm not used to this keyboard at all. And that's our next X. So just for the hell of it, let's run it. Okay, fairly straightforward. Anybody can do that. It's just like the most basic program you could do. So what we want to do is to save that, right? So I've rewound the tape, and I will save it, and I will do 1530, which is the model number of this, and we'll try and save it, and it will probably give me an instructions. Okay, listen for the click. There it goes, and it's trying to save it. It's very slow, this 1530. It's something like 50 bytes a second or something, but when it starts up, okay, so it's saved it, it's done it. It waits a little bit so it can get onto the recordable part of the tape before it starts to save. So let's rewind it. Let's do a new to get rid of what we had. Let me do a list to prove to you that there's nothing in there. There isn't. So let us now load 1530. Okay, press play on the tape. And here we go. This kind of works in two stages. I think first of all it finds the file, and then it begins the load. So there's a little notification that it's found the file, and then a short gap, and then it reads it. So it's found it, and in a minute, I'm hoping it will do something. Right, okay, there it goes. And it appears to have loaded it. So if I list it, I should have the data on the tape now loaded into program memory. and I should be able to run it. Right, okay. Unfortunately, I don't have any game tapes as such to load into this thing, so I can't test an actual tape. But I believe it's now working okay, and the counter seems to be working, and yeah, it all seems to be working. So thanks for watching the video. Well, I hope you found the video entertaining and hopefully informative. I'm not an expert on Commodore really, but I thought it was a good opportunity to take a look around, as I said. And if you enjoyed it and or you like my other videos, please hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you never miss another video from me. And with that said, I wish you the very best possible day that you could have today, and I will see you next time.